Come on, Eileen, it's episode 19. Come on, Eileen, oh, I swear. Hello, welcome back to the Rena 100 Show, a show where I, Rena 100, put on a show. Rena 100 Show. Okay, so usually I pick a theme and talk about it, and that's the show. But since it's my show, I can do whatever I want. So this week, I've decided to do something completely different. So I'm going to tell you guys basically like a bedtime story, but it could be a walking around story. This is a story that emerged from the ether when I was jet lagged and awake. I woke up in the middle of the night at 3:30 or 4 a.m. Jet lagged, woke up my partner, told him, woke him up, giggled a lot, and then he was like, "Slow down your thoughts, calm down." I was like, "I can't." And then I just told him this story in completion, and then passed back out to sleep, and then he was up the rest of the night. So without further ado, here is the story of Mr. Lego Man. Once upon a time, there was a man who worked at a Lego shop. He worked there day in, day out. And at this Lego shop, there were very beautiful displays in the windows. And he always dreamed one day of being able to create one of those window displays. But there was already someone who was in charge of doing that. And although he would ask his boss over and over, might I one day be the one to create the window display? The boss would always say, I don't know, maybe next quarter, maybe next year. Just we love what you're doing. You're so good at stocking shelves. And, the guy who usually does the window display, that's his job, not yours. But maybe sometime in the vague future. And he would just kind of string him along. And he would dream of all these intricate displays that he would love to create for the window of the Legos, because he really loved Legos. But alas, his boss never let him do it. Until one day, his boss had a heart attack and was in the hospital. And the normal display person called in sick. So the man seized the opportunity and went straight to the window display and toiled to make the perfect display of all his dreams, the splendid display he'd always wanted to make. And the display was splendid indeed. People lined up outside the window to take pictures, and there was even a photo of it that made the local paper. But when his boss recovered from the heart attack and came back to work, he discovered what the man had done, and he fired him for creating a display without his permission, because after all, he was the boss, and he had never okayed it. And the man was so upset. He went to the saddest little bar he could find, sat alone, drinking and eating peanuts, and complaining to the bartender. The next morning, he woke up bright and early and went to the unemployment office. But he was promptly denied for unemployment because he was fired with cause. And so then he didn't have enough money for rent. And he got evicted. And then he became unhoused. And so now he was just sitting under an awning, wearing a newspaper for a hat. Days went by, weeks, perhaps months. But then he heard in the distance a huge parade headed straight for the street where he'd been sitting under the awning. Could it be? No, it could not be, but it was. The town had organized a parade because Mr. Lego Man himself had come to town. Notorious Mr. Lego Man, beloved Mr. Lego Man, Mr. Lego Man that everyone wanted to know and hang out with and see. And the whole town came to the parade. And the parade marched right by the man sitting under the awning wearing a newspaper for a hat. And in the midst of the parade, at the very moment Mr. Legoman passed him by, he spied him out of the corner of his eye, and he sent his assistant to go get the man and meet him for a drink later. The assistant took the man to a hotel room, told him to get a shower, didn't give him the shower, you know what I mean. Got him a fresh designer suit, cleaned him all up, made him look nice, and sent him downstairs to the hotel bar at 7:30 p.m. to meet with Mr. Legoman. He couldn't understand, what does Mr. Legoman want with me? Mr. Legoman, this giant in society, and me, the man who sits under the awning wearing a newspaper for a hat. When he got downstairs, Mr. Legoman explained he wanted to relinquish his title. He didn't want the fame and the love anymore. He just wanted to retire, run away to Bali, and relax on the beach until the end of his days. So he gives him an offer. He says, I'll give you my title. You can be the next Mr. Legoman, because I heard all about your wonderful display case, and I knew when I heard about it that only someone who truly loves Legos in a way that can't be taught could have made a window display like that. And he says, look, you don't have to decide right now. I'll give you 3 days to decide, and if you want to accept, here's my card. Contact me, but after 3 days are up, it will go to the next person on the list. So the man goes back to his awning to think about it. And the whole way back, he has his old boss's voice echoing in his head, saying, who is he to be Mr. Legoman, international superstar? He was just a simple clerk boy, working class nobody. And he keeps hearing this in his mind, and he cries himself to sleep under the awning. And people walk by and kick dirt on him. But after 2.5 days of sadness about that, a woman walks by with her son, and he overhears them say they were sad, that the boys say that he's sad about Dad being sick, but like he was reminiscing about, remember when Dad was sick and we were so sad? But when we walked by that Lego store and saw that magnificent display, it gave me such hope and made me feel so much better. And this made the man suddenly realize that he could help the world. And why couldn't he be that little bit of joy for people? Maybe he could be Mr. Legoman, and why not him? And so he runs to the last working payphone, only to realize that he doesn't have a quarter, and nobody is around to ask. Suddenly it starts to rain, torrential rain, and he cries and sits on the stoop of a spindly old brownstone. A Cockney lady hears his cries and comes out of the apartment to see that why he's so sad, and she asks, what's wrong? She has time to talk, and she has time to talk because the TV show that she's watching is on a commercial right now. So he explains the whole story to her, and how he never had any luck, and how things just never seemed to work out for him. And she says, it's a funny thing about luck. Sometimes it's there when you least expect it. And she throws a shiny quarter up in the air, and he catches it and looks at it in awe. But when he looks back for the Cockney lady, she had disappeared, presumably to go finish watching her show. And then he sees a big clock in the square and realizes he only has 15 minutes until the deadline runs out. So he runs to the payphone, but there's a man using the phone yelling at a divorce attorney about alimony. And he pleads, but the man still rages and rages on the phone until finally he slams it down and walks out. The man goes into the payphone at 1 minute left, and he calls the number on the card, but it goes to voicemail, and he says he wants to accept. And he hangs up the phone, but then he realizes there's no way for Legoman to get back in touch with him. He's sad, but not regretful. And he starts walking back to his awning, when out of the corner of his eye he sees Legoman walking towards him. And he's confused. How did you even find me? And Legoman just says, I have my Lego ways. And so he accepts. And they celebrate and have a big parade and party the next morning. And they celebrate all night, and it's a night for the ages, one he'll never forget. And he wakes up the next morning and he's like, I have to go to Mr. Lego Man's hotel room. I have to thank him for all this and all the hullabaloo of accepting and everything. I never really gave him the thank you I wanted to. So he goes to the Lego Man's room to say goodbye and to thank him. But when he walks inside, there's nothing left but a singular Lego piece and a note that says, goodbye and let go. The end. So that's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll probably be experimenting a little more henceforth on the pod, just to keep it fresh. If you have any ideas or anything, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know your ideas. I'm open to anything. And yeah, that being said, I hope you enjoyed the story of Mr. Lego Man.